Got debt? SpenDebt is a tool that helps you pay off debt every time you swipe your debit card. Take control of your financial future in 3 easy steps. Visit SpenDebt.com to link your bank and debt accounts. Set your micropayment amount to be added to each debit transaction and start spending. As you make everyday purchases, micropayments will automatically be sent to your SpenDebt account and paid to your debt account at the end of the month. These aren't roundup payments. These are micropayment amounts you set. Pay off debt every time you swipe. Try SpenDebt free for 30 days by visiting SpenDebt.com or downloading the SpenDebt app.
Hello, my name is TyLisha Summers, the co-founder of SpenDebt.
My name is Kiley Summers, the other co-founder of SpenDebt. And SpenDebt is on a mission to help save 1 million people from financial fatalities every time they swipe their debit card or have a banking transaction. SpenDebt simply helps everybody or people pay off their bill every time they swipe their debit card or have a banking transaction.
All right, already I have questions for days.
Let's go.
You know what? I'm not going to go into business yet, but I have to say that there is no university of salesperson, and there's no university of, by the way, you should know about your finances before you get that first credit card.
That's right.
So already I'm just going to say that right from the get-go, but we're not even going to talk about the business yet. We want to talk about you guys. Before anyone understands a business, you walk out your door, you're like walking into businesses that are in your neighborhood, and yet you always see the same face, but yet you have no idea what the person's story is. And so this is the opportunity for people to get to understand who you guys are as humans. The humans, yay, we love the humans. And then understand why the business came out. Now, I always say that I'm going to give you the opportunity to talk, but if you say something intriguing, I'm going to catch it. And I'm going to ask I want details. So I don't know who wants to go first, but let's just go from where are you guys located, but where are you from all the way to, we'll stop at like the college, like the degree and getting into college, but not the college experience yet. And then let the other person go, and then we'll go from there. See, I told you, we're going to talk.
Ladies first. I'm always defer, so she gonna kick it.
I was born. So I am originally from Kansas City, Missouri. I am from a single parent home. So my mom raised me and my sister. I'm the youngest of 2 girls. My sister and I are 5 years apart. And so, yeah, we grew up in Kansas City, went to school there, high school, college. We went to the University of Missouri, Rolla. And yeah, Kiley, who are you? Where are you from?
Look, I like to say I'm a man of faith. I'm a husband, I'm a father, and I'm an entrepreneur. Like as TyLisha mentioned, I am from Missouri as well, but from St. Louis. And we definitely met in college at the Missouri University of Science and Technology is the name of the school now. It was under different names when both of us graduated. That's a whole trivia thing, but and we reside now in Houston, Texas, in the South.
It is so adorable how you erased your entire childhood. So it's adorable. I caught it. I thought, like, I mean, like you guys, you saw this, okay? So you need to start. Like, you don't follow the instructions. Don't talk about college yet, because I want to know who you are. Who are you?
Okay. So let me rewind. Again, I'm from St. Louis, born and raised. I come from a single parent or humble beginnings, and I really come from a lady, my mom, who worked her butt out to run her leg of the marathon, to put me in a position where I am today. Single mom of 3 boys. I'm the middle of those boys. And she was really like my first adolescence of watching somebody deal with money, right? And like, it's an indirect relationship I saw through her, which really developed, what grew into what we're doing today. And then that really just kind of sat with me mentally, and just really understanding the cultural, the experience of being, from the hard streets of St. Louis, just taking all of those unique perspectives, and just really beginning to author my own life in terms of what I didn't want it to be. Didn't necessarily know what I wanted it to be, but what I didn't want it to be. That has shaped me, and it is shaping me in who I am and who I want to be to my wife and who I ultimately want to be to my children. And then it helps me develop a sense of sensory how to be a leader of a company, if that makes sense.
It does. So we're gonna go back a little bit. So TyLisha, am I pronouncing that right?
TyLisha.
Yes. Oh, I love it. All right. 2 girls, mom, and what did mom do?
So mom was a legal secretary for a law firm. So she worked for a few law firms.
Why did you not become a lawyer?
Why?
Because
So I'm sorry, it's a low-hanging fruit question.
enjoyed math and science. And honestly, before going to college, I wanted to be an architect. And because I enjoy drawing. However, when it came time to put my major down on that application, right, of what I wanted to do when I grew up, I thought about it and I said, I like to draw as a hobby. And I don't think that I would necessarily enjoy drawing every day on demand. And then when people tell me they don't like my designs, I have to start over. Like, who does that?
You know what? I am with you. When I started my business, so I learned how to speak English. I'm first generation from Haiti. And when I learned how to speak English, I knew how to speak it, but in classes where they're like, red mark, red mark, red mark. I go, I know what I'm saying. I know what I'm saying. And my cousin's like, you know how to tell the story. So think about English that way. So he gave me a camera. So my camera is my binky. Anywhere around the world, everyone that I know knows me with a camera in my hand. I can capture that photo. When I started my business, I was trying to do the business plan, trying to figure out what it was going to be when it went live. And I saw how people were just paying ridiculous money for photographers. Ridiculous money for photographers. So I would just to do it. It took away the love of photography for me so quickly. It broke my heart because it was my binky. It was the only thing that comforted me. And then all of a sudden it was taken away because people were like, can you Photoshop me? Can you make me look young? I mean, it ruined it all until I'm like, once the business grew, I'm like, I can never ever take pictures professionally ever again. It has to be my thing. And so I understand 100% what you're saying.
Yeah, so that was architecture, right? So it was like, well, if I don't want to be an architect, what am I going to go to school for? And honestly, it was my sister who said, well, why don't you try engineering? I was like, what's that? And she was like, you enjoy math? I was like, yep, I do. She said, you love solving puzzles? Yep, I do. So I'll do engineering. And then she said, well, you love science? Yep, I do. So why don't you do chemical engineering? And I kid you not, that's how I put chemical engineering down on the application. And I am a chemical engineer now. I enjoyed it and I stuck to it. It was hard along the way sometimes, right? But all in all, here I am. And yeah, that's how I chose my major.
Where did your sister even think of that? If I love math, that's chemical engineer is the, there's no way those things are coming up.
Yeah.
Math, puzzle, and chemical engineer.
Yeah, we had a few engineers like here and there in our family, but I don't know. I don't know. God gave it to her and she passed it along to me. And I said, yep, it sounds like something worth trying. And yeah, I am a chemical engineer.
Is she an engineer as well?
No.
Look at her. You know what? She's like, dodge the bullet.
No, she is in HR. I think she majored in communications and she has a master's degree as well, but yeah, far from it. But I never had a desire to be a lawyer. Going all the way back to your original question, like I wanted to be an architect, I wanted to draw, and then last minute, I was like, yeah, chemical engineer. Thanks, sis.
I love it. All right. And 5 years difference between you and your sister. Your mom, single parent home, your mom was at work. Was your older sister like your mom?
In a sense,
or the guiding light of like who I'm like aspiring to be?
Well, yeah, right. Like, so my mom went to work. So like in the summertime, right, it was me and my sister at home. And I joke with her till this day. She loves talking, hence her major. And so she would torture me, and like Oprah would be on. And she would put it on mute, and she would grab the butter knife, and she would pretend it was her microphone. And I would have to listen to her she would have entire monologues, okay? Because I wanted no parts of this, okay? She would have entire monologues making up all these random stories about I don't know what. And I would be in the audience listening or running around the house, trying to stay alive until my mom came home. But most of the times I had to sit and listen to her in her monologues, pretending
that is beautiful. A captive audience, like it or not. I love it.
So if you want to say I looked up to her for that, or we had a lot of one-on-one time. Let's just say that.
Are you guys close to this day?
Yes. Yeah, we got closer, of course, as we got older, right? Because when we were younger, I was the annoying little sister that she would slam the door in my face when her friends were over, So yes, we are absolutely close now, much closer than we were growing up.
Kiley, 3 boys.
Yes.
Single mom, 3 boys. How's that? How was the household there? Because mom's working and she's like focusing on like making sure that you guys are like, straight and narrow, but 3 boys, and you're basically Peter Brady. You're in the middle.
Exactly.
You can go either way. I go, you could either be Switzerland, not like Switzerland right now with Russia because they took a side, but usually Switzerland does not take a side usually. I go, or you could be like, I'm going to sit there and be on my brother older side and like, yay, win the war against you. Like what was the dynamics? How was it with you guys?
I think the dynamics settled on their own just because of the difference in ages. So my older brother and I, we're 4 years apart. And my younger brother and I, we're 7 years apart. So just by the pure time difference or the age difference, my older brother and I we were closer. And it was different. It was unique. It was always.
I love how you just said it's unique versus different. Yes, unique.
Yes, definitely unique. So whatever my older brother did, it's like, man, he could do that. I'm gonna try to do it too. It's like he gave me the permission to do it because I saw him go through the trial and tribulation, whether that was riding a bike, playing basketball, running, whatever it was, I wanted to do it. And it, to this day, is like, he was that for me growing up. And then the roles reversed, I think, as we got older. Obviously our lives, we began to really just be architects of our lives. But growing up, I think that's what it was. My brother was always kind of that compass for what we did. And then my younger brother came along and he just really modeled both of us. It was definitely some interesting moments where we got along and some moments where we didn't get along, right? It's the brotherly love. But I think ultimately it was fun times. I think we had to grow up faster than most kids, just kind of being where we were, and our mom not necessarily being there most of the time. And somebody had to cook for the family, so I took it upon myself to cook for my older brother and my younger brother.
What's your best meal?
At that time.
At that time, I was really good with those wings. I was really good with those party wings. We'll get some French fries. we may get some broccoli or some green beans here there.
Oh, look at that! See, that's good because you threw some greens in there. You threw some vegetables.
Yeah,
good.
Yeah.
Right,
So,
good.
yeah. And then, but breakfast is my thing. Like you're gonna get some good pancakes. I'll get sausage, and if we have potatoes, we're gonna get some smothered potatoes too. So breakfast was my thing and still is my thing. So yeah, that's it.
You're so funny. I mean, I eat heavy. Like I'm one of those people. I eat heavy breakfast, and then like it peters, and then it goes like dinner is just very light. So whenever people are like, "Do you want to go to dinner?" I'm like, there's not a lot of food in my belly before I go to bed. I'm like, oh, I love my sleep though. Like, oh, I don't know. Mind you, I just had a bowl of ice cream before I came to talk to you guys because I was like, I don't have time to make lunch, so I'm gonna have a bowl of ice cream because it works. It works. It's dairy. It's balanced. Exactly. It's balanced.
You can burn it off throughout the day too. Yeah.
That's why I've told people that I like literally I talk a lot and I'm moving fast, and so I will burn. But I mean, when I'm asleep, I'm asleep. I mean, I'm not burning anything when I'm asleep. So yeah. See, there we go. What was the degree that you chose, and why did you choose it?
So the degree was electrical engineering and a minor in mathematics. Why did I choose electrical engineering? I'll be honest with you, we don't have any engineers in our family. There was nobody to look to. I'm first generation. Mm-hmm. And so in high school, I took a class my junior year. It's called electronics. Actually, it was my sophomore year. It was an electronic class, and we just built and tinkered with different small devices. Developing a circuit board that helps shock people, or
I don't even know why that's even a thing.
Right,
like, I just want you to know right now, like that's just like I'm going to teach you how to make something to electrocute someone.
Not electrocute, so just shock. Man, that's a difference. Like we wasn't trying to kill people back then, but just get a good shock. Touch this thing and watch it shock you. Anyway, it was just those little tinkering ideas and projects that I got the opportunity to work on, and I just liked the idea of working on a circuit board, soldering different components together, resistors, transistors. All that was it was just amazing to see something come together like that. And so I took the second part of it, the second part of that class as an elective, and I was like, you know what, I might as well go to school to be an electrical engineer. I like electronics. Like problem solving, it all made sense. I was good in math and science, similar to what we heard TyLisha say. So, this is it. I'm gonna do that, and that's what I did.
What year did you guys meet each other?
My third year in college.
So my second year. So actually, I started at Dillard University in New Orleans, and he started at Tennessee State. Yeah. And so he's a year older than me. And so after my freshman year of college, I knew that I needed to transfer. And so
whoa, why did you need?
I was gonna say long story short.
No, because usually you're like, I decided to transfer. I knew I needed to transfer. Caught my ear.
Yeah. So I originally went to Dillard because they had a 3-2 program where I would have gotten my undergrad in chemistry, and then I would have went to Georgia Tech and graduated with a master's in chemical engineering. Okay. And so that's what originally attracted me there. During my freshman year, the first semester, I got, I think, all A's and a B. And the second semester, I slept most of the time and got a 4.0. So I wasn't challenged at all. Oh. And prior to starting college, at my scholarship banquets, people were asking me, because I'm from Missouri, and they were like, oh, you want to do engineering? Are you going to Rolla? Have you heard of Rolla? And I was like, no, I'm going to Dillard, and they have this 3-2 program. And they were like, are they known for engineering? I'm like, no, but Georgia Tech. And they're like, oh, okay, master's in chemie. So anyway, after my freshman year, towards the end of the second semester, I was like, I'm not challenged. I'm not learning. My math professor asked me to take 5 other students and ensure that they passed the class. And I was like, that's not my job. Yeah, I don't mind helping people, but I need to be challenged. Mm-hmm. And I had asked if I could get into a more advanced class. I graduated high school in calculus 2. Mm-hmm. I went into pre-algebra in my freshman year of college. It was a joke. And so anyway, through that experience, I was like, I gotta get out of here. If I want my degree to really mean something, for me to know something, attached to this degree, they're gonna expect me to know some things. I need to go somewhere else where I'm gonna be challenged. And so Rolla was already in my head, had been implanted in my head, right, mm-hmm. from all these people asking me. And that, it was no thought about it. And I applied and I got into Rolla. So I transferred to Rolla my sophomore year, and that's where I met Kiley.
Okay, you keep saying Rolla. Most people won't know what this is. So
yeah,
I was like,
University of Missouri.
I told them saying this Rolla thing. What is this Rolla?
Yeah. University University of Missouri at Rolla. So it's in Rolla, Missouri, which is a little over an hour west of St. Louis, Missouri. So yeah, Rolla Mo is what we call it.
It's within the University of Missouri school system.
Yeah.
So everybody know Mizzou,
Yeah.
right? It's just a sister to Mizzou.
With
Gotcha.
the tech and engineering focus.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, now I'm with you. I'm on the same page. Okay, so now you've transferred. How does it go from there? Is it smooth sailing? I mean, like I shouldn't say smooth sailing, but hi, you're an engineer.
Yeah.
But are the courses more challenging? Are the teachers more active in regards of making sure that you advance and you succeed in life?
So courses more challenging, absolutely. I'm so glad I came in with a high GPA because it was kind of like, if we're being honest. But hey, I graduated above, I think it was like 3.25 or something out of a 4.0. So, I did fine, but I'm glad I came in high, okay? So absolutely, I was met with challenges. The courses were challenging. The professors, for the most part, were very helpful when it came to teaching, right? Such a challenging subject or subject matter. So yeah, no, it was good. I got internships while I was in college. And then I met my husband. So.
Okay, husband. Ellie, what was your experience of where? Because you started at University of Tennessee.
Tennessee State University.
Tennessee State.
The real TSU. I live in Houston, Texas. So Texas Southern is here, and we always have this back and forth. But
Wait. So you were in Houston? I'm confused. What?
I live in Houston now.
Oh,
and
okay.
Houston, Texas Southern is another historical Black college that's here.
Yeah.
And so they call themselves TSU. But I went to Tennessee State University, the real TSU, and we always have this joking about who.
I love it, the real one, because of course, like then they get to the point where they get. I get that. I went to U of H. That's where I started my career. I lived in Rice Village. It was just lovely, but a northern girl going down south was hard because I was called a Yankee, and I'm like, no, I love the Red Sox. I don't understand. I'm confused. So there was a confused. All right, so you're in Tennessee, and then what happens there for you?
Well, I should want to say shout out to the historical Black colleges and universities, right?
Don't try to backtrack right now.
No, it just like I had a wonderful time. So after college, I went off to Tennessee State that summer, and I spent that summer doing Engineering Concept Institute ECI program, and that was a great experience. And then obviously I spent my first year at Tennessee State, and prior to going to Tennessee State, though, in high school, I wanted to go to Rolla, but it just didn't work out. And I ended up going to Tennessee State. I walked onto the football team. I did well within my first year. I had a lot of fun. I'm just being honest. It was like I've never seen anything like. I felt like it was a family reunion with all my cousins, but not my cousins, if that makes sense. But it seemed like the more I partied, the better my grades got. Don't ask me why, but they did. I did better the second semester than I did the first semester, and I did. I was on the dean's list. But my godmother, similar to TyLisha's story, she was like, "Look, you want to be an engineer. You wanted to go to Rolla before you left to go to Tennessee State. You want to just go take a visit." So that winter vacation, winter break, I went to Rolla, and we went to the graduation. And I was like, okay, I took a look around. It wasn't the same. I'm telling you that you're talking about predominantly white institution, or PWI versus historical Black college, and there's no comparison. But the afterlife in terms of how well connected University of Missouri Rolla was. It was the 12th most connected school in the world at the time, or around when we graduated, and it was just so many benefits. And so it's like, you know what, I'm gonna leave Tennessee State. I actually left to go on a football scholarship to Rolla, and it worked out. But I tell you, the cultural experience, it really it depleted me. Going from HBCU, coming from St. Louis, mostly Black, coming from the neighborhoods I was in, going to HBCU, I fit right in, right? But then taking that, taking myself out of that environment, putting me in a predominantly white environment, that was very dark for me. Not that I couldn't, and obviously I graduated, but it was a dark transition, because I didn't see myself. I didn't see myself in anything that I did, in the classes, in the professors, nothing. The language, it was tough. And I really spent my first year going to class, going to football practice, and sleeping. That was really all I did. And then I got more acclimated to the school. Found the fraternities, pledged. Met TyLisha. I continued to play football until I retired, and just really embrace the small community within the larger school, and it was good, especially after I met TyLisha. It was really good.
It's always a good answer. Always a good answer. I have to say that it's so unique how wherever you grow up and the way that you grow up, it really defines how the college years, because you hear the stories of people go to college, it's the best thing ever. They literally everyone talks it up so big. I knew I had to go to college. I went on the slowest track ever because I got into my career. So I was taking one class per semester. Texas happened first, and then I came back. Then I became a radio producer, and then I was taking the long way to graduate. But one of the things that was very unique for me was that being first generation in America, we're in the bubble. So we're in this bubble, and your parents come to this country, and they're afraid. They don't tell you they're afraid, but they're just afraid. All good parents, I should say that all good parents are afraid because they know too much, and that knowing too much is so overwhelming when you have a child. So of course, now you have a child, you're in this new country, you don't speak the language. And so I was in this bubble, and whenever I heard anything about blacks and whites not getting along, and it's just my parents, just it literally was just their words. Because again, we're in the bubble, so I didn't see it. When I went to Texas, I'm telling you, it was it wasn't a slap in the face, it was a throat punch, where people were no, seriously, we don't like you because you're black. I'm shut up. I thought that was just TV. What? I was so overwhelmingly blown away that there was really everything that my parents had said in the past, it was real. And I was oh, this is not good. And I'm I'm gonna get killed because I am the most gullible person known to man. Because I'm come on in, I'm your friend. But we were protected. And so growing up the way that you guys grew up, single parents, your siblings were basically your core. And then you leave your bubbles and you go off to colleges that are so outside of your realm. And then you go, you have two different college experiences. What was that like for you? And what was it like for you at the time? And what has it changed in your life now? Because for me, I became hard, and then I moved to Australia for a year, and then I evened out. Because I'm a nature girl. I need to be by the island. I need to be by the water. So I became even. But when I came back from Texas, friends couldn't even say jokes to me. I will freaking kill you. There's no funny. And everyone's what happened to Jodi? And I'm I got hard. And the first year, I think I cried every single day because I was I've never experienced fear. And now every single day I'm afraid. So what was it like for you from your family dynamics? Mom is working hard. Your siblings are your people. You have your community. You are smart. You focus on I know what I want in my life. And then now college has thrown some elements into your personal lives where I thought I knew who I was, and college has changed that. Very loaded. It's a very loaded question. I don't know if you heard that. It's very loaded.
So for me, in elementary school, my mom made sure that we went to more advanced schools, I'll say. And so being in a mixed school, or honestly, where I was the minority, wasn't new, right? So I was in gifted and talented, or GT programs or classes. And so I was one of two Black kids. in elementary school, right? In those classes. Of course, there were other classes, but they weren't gifted and talented where there were, majority Black people. And so in elementary school, there were times where like we'd have to blend classes because the teacher was out or whatever. And I mean, we GT kids had this stigma and they thought that they were better, you think you're better than us. And I'm like, no, I'm just here. They put me in a class. I took a test. I don't know, right? I mean, I'm a kid. I don't know. So anyway, I felt some of that in elementary school, but all that to say, it wasn't new to me to be the minority in educational environment. So yes, I went to Dillard, and yes, it was all of my cousins, as Kiley said. And honestly, my experience at Dillard, I mean, it was okay. We had fun. The food was great. But going to Rolla, coming from Dillard to Rolla, yes, I had the awakening again, like, oh yeah, here we go, back into this environment. And I think I had to go early for some reason, for maybe an earlier program or something for the summer. And I remember like looking out of my dorm room downstairs and they were having like a gathering, maybe a barbecue or something. And I looked down and I looked at some white guy and he flipped me off. And I was like, what? Like, I didn't even do anything. I'm looking out the window. And like, I started crying. Because again, I had a sprinkle of Dillard. And then now I'm at Rolla. But again, elementary school, I was the minority, right? I mean, high school, it was majority Black. But anyway, I've had a mix. And so then he flips me off. And so then I'm crying because I'm like, what have I gotten myself into? I am in Rolla, Missouri. There is a Walmart. And that's about it. Like, oh my gosh. And I don't know, I eventually started meeting people and getting out and, seeing, oh, there's more Black people. There's more people that look like me. And then, yeah, to Kylie's point, like we became this small community, right? And so that's kind of how my transition and my thoughts went for that.
So how's it?
Oh, so now for today, I guess? Yeah. So now here I am, corporate America. It looks like my school in elementary school. It looks like Rolla. As a Black female engineer at the small plant that I started at, I probably the only Black female engineer, Black engineer there at the time, I think. So
what year was that?
2008.
2008.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying, 2008.
Right? Yeah. So, and at that plant, one of the operations guys had asked me, he confused me with the cleaning lady one day. And I had to let him know that I was no cleaning lady. And he came back and apologized because he realized like, no, that's not gonna happen. Like, it's not gonna go down like that ever again. Like, you're not gonna disrespect me. But so, yeah, it's still that was 14 years ago. Like, it's still prevalent today, I guess.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, so hopefully I answered your question.
No, you did. And so tag team.
So I'm it. I think we had similar upbringing. So from kindergarten to third grade, I went to a predominantly white elementary school, and so I saw, I was, the minority. But at the time, like, you were a kid, like, it really didn't register to me, Black, white. I just knew I looked different from everybody else. Their hair wasn't the same as mine. I had really good hair back then. I don't know what happened, but I was, from a sports perspective, I was bigger, stronger, and faster than the kids. So, like, I noticed those differences, and I was pretty, astute as a student too. So it really didn't pick up on the differences. But when we moved into a more, predominantly Black, and then I stayed kind of in a predominantly Black, neighborhood and community until I graduated from high school, and then went to school with my cousins at HBCU, and then Rolla was an awakening. You get flipped off, or you just get straight up called the N-word, or you're trying to change your classes to fit your personal preference, and that's your prerogative to go change the classes to fit what you want. the math, one of the advisors, he slams the door in my face. Mind you, you have to go through them at the time. You have to go get them to sign off before you can take to the registrar office. But I went to his office. Hey, I heard somebody dropped out of this class. I want to try to take that seat. Can you sign? And he slams the door in my face. Like, I never forget this to this day. I wanted to start World War III. TyLisha, I was ready to. We finna be on CNN, nightly news, every channel, like, because I'm like, you ain't gonna do that,
But may I ask why? I mean, why? I don't get it. Why did he slam the door?
I'm still trying to answer that question.
Okay.
Well, I'm a student. This is his job, is to help me get, he's an advisor. I don't know why he slammed the door. I was literally just asked him, can I change classes? He said no, and just slammed it on my face. And so I was angry. I was really angry, and I carried that through. That was a motivator. I turned the anger into energy and used it as a motivator to get through. And one of the classes that I was trying to switch from, we happened to take one of the dean of the math department. He knew of the situation. TyLisha and I had the class together, and he really made sure that he took care of us. And he was a good sport. He was another white male, but he understood what we were facing, what we was up against, and they held the professor accountable. But it was just the mere fact that I had to go through that experience among many other experiences that we had on campus. But I say all that as a part of your question is, I'm glad that I grew up in a predominantly Black community, because I got to understand who I am, right? I got to understand being Black is one thing. Being a Black male is a whole nother thing, right? Within the last 5-10 years, I've seen other Black men get killed, but nothing, right? And we see mass shootings happening with predominantly white males, and they go to Burger King, as an example. Like, understand that, and that plays a lot in my head. When I leave out this house, my only job is to make it home without getting killed or without getting, hurt, and so I can see my wife and kids again. That's my. When I leave the house, I want to make it back home. What kind of job is that to have? It's
exhausting.
It's very exhausting. Or when you're trying to go raise capital, you just want the investor or the partner to just listen to you and not count you off, right? That's a whole nother step. But I use all of these experiences to expose the way I teach. My daughter is like, just be the best that you can be. Just be the best. It is Black and white, but if you're the best, you're gonna always rise to the top. Cream rises to the top. And so just try to make sure she's the best. And I think we both try to do that. That's our job as parents. We really want that, because we know what the other side is going to be. You're always going to be discounted. It's all the other stuff. But the last comment I'll make here is, you're not just competing against the person in your classroom or the person you see at the grocery store, the person at the playground. You're competing against the world. And the world is not just Black. The world is not just white. The world it's a melting pot of all people from all different backgrounds. And it's changing, very, very fast. We live in the number one most diverse city in the country, not the world. In Houston, it's 60% minority. And so just that's how I use those experiences.
I always sit there and say that I say this to my interns all the time, what you just said. I go, but I add in where your competition's not your neighborhood, it's not your state, it's not your country, it is the world, because now we can work from anywhere. And so you thought you can get that job down the street. Well, guess what? They just hired someone like could go 2 states away, and they're like, I don't have to, you could stay at home and I get to then reap the benefits of your knowledge. And so if you don't step up your game by a lot, I go, you will not have a fighting chance to get the job of your dreams. And so I love that you say that as well to your daughter, because I will eventually get your daughters as my interns, and I will say it to them again. Because it is so important for people to understand that. We don't live in a melting pot. We live in a salad bowl. I need to see you. I need to see you. I need to see my carrots. I need to see my cucumbers. I need to see you. I never understood, nor did I ever like the melting pot. Don't melt me away. Don't erase me. Because when you have soup and it's like it's all melded. I'm like, no, it's all blends. I'm like, no, I don't want to blend. I want to stand out in my own way. So I'm just going to ask you to not use melting pot anymore, salad bowl or whatever.
We could debate that maybe on another call because here's the thing. Some people don't like croutons. They take those croutons out.
This is true. This is true.
Right? Or I don't like tomatoes. You know what I mean? Like I'm just gonna cut those up. We can, you know what I'm saying? We can debate that later.
You can put whatever you want in your salad as long as I can see things in your salad. That's all I'm trying to say. I want to see things in my salad.
But that's a whole nother problem. You can put in there what you want. It ain't all together. You can't take onions out of a soup.
Yeah, but you
it's already in there. You're not gonna pick.
You can't see me. I can't be seen anymore. That's what I'm trying to say.
I'm just saying. Like Anyway, I'm with you, sister. I'm with you.
I love this. All right. So you guys meet. How long have you been married?
It'll be 9 years this year.
You guys are babies. Look at that. You're babies. I love it. So you graduate with your chemical and electrical. What jobs? What are the jobs that you like? I mean, because you left St. Louis, so like now you're in Houston. What got you to Houston? And what, like, was it the job? Was it like I just want to change my atmosphere? What was it?
So I graduated first. I left college in December 2007. And I got the opportunity to go work for PepsiCo Frito-Lay. I interned with them, and then I got a full-time opportunity before I graduated to go to Jonesboro, Arkansas, which is northeast Arkansas. Felt like the state bird was a mosquito. Town of about 60 or 70,000 people. So it was much like a college town. It is a college town with Arkansas State University. So I was familiar with being in that type of environment. So not much to get acclimated to. But anyway, I went to go work for PepsiCo Frito-Lay. It was a great first job out of college as an engineer in the manufacturing world. I spent 3 years there before things were getting serious between TyLisha and I. And I told my HR, I was like, look, man, I'm looking to move, and I look like Houston is a common ground for both of us to land without having to sacrifice, our careers. Literally, I told him at the end of December. 2 weeks later, I was on a site visit. 2 weeks after that, I was moving. It happened so fast.
Nice.
My mom say it fall la la. It kind of just happened. So that's how I got here. So I ended up spending a total of about almost 8 to 10 years at Frito-Lay before I left to go become an entrepreneur.
And so, what was the question?
How we get to
yes. So, chemical engineer. I started in Baton Rouge at ExxonMobil. So I'd actually interned there the summer before I graduated. And then I accepted the full-time offer going into my last year of school. So I didn't have to worry about interviews or whatnot. I was like, yep, I'll take it. And so I moved to Baton Rouge, and I started as a contact engineer, supporting a unit, right? So manufacturing unit, running trials, testing parameters and different changes, and monitoring the equipment, getting late night calls because equipment shut down. What do we do, right? So I was that engineer that they would reach out to. I was in Baton Rouge for 3 years before moving to Houston. So I always knew that I could get to Houston. Again, it was a matter of getting Kiley to Houston. And before, we didn't know that there was opportunities. And then we discovered this small town in Rosenberg, Texas, that was close enough, right, to Houston. And so Kiley moved in like that February or end of January. And I came in October of that same year because management had met him. he had gone to all the Christmas parties, and I was like, hey, it's time. Kiley's moving. It's time for me to go. And so then God made it work. And again, he went at the end of January, and I came in October of the same year.
And so now you're working together.
We're working in this, we live in the same city. He still works for Frito-Lay, and I work for
You're still
Exxon.
Okay, beautiful. Okay, so now let's talk about the business. Pause. How many children do you have?
2
Girls?
Two
Yes.
girls,
What age?
6 and 1.
Oh, you just had a baby.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, yay. Okay, we're gonna get back to the kids. Okay, so why the business? Why now?
Why the business? So I kind of alluded to some of that in the beginning. Watching my mom deal with finances. What we didn't say that, the next part of that was our relationship with finances. We graduated, and then a year later, together, we had over 140 plus thousand dollars of consumer debt. It's a great notable thing and noteworthy thing to be the first, but being the first is expensive. It's expensive in the sense that as first generation, there's not much to be given or passed down to you, such as the car or the house or the whatever, right? We had to go establish ourselves first. And we made some very, very luxurious purchases,
As you should at the time.
Yeah, right.
Change it.
No, I mean, honestly, I don't know if you even had these experiences where you were hungry, you came out of class, and then there was that credit card company, they're like, I go sign your life away and we'll give you a bag of chips. Because that's what they used to do. I don't know if they're even allowed to do that anymore, but people did that because they were like, if I have a little bit of money or if I have a credit card, I'm going to buy that outfit, I'm going to buy that car. I'm like, it's just something where it's like, Oprah said it, go pay yourself first. And people did.
Yeah, it's expensive to do that. Anyway, let's have that conversation. But so we had this debt, and we was having this conversation. It's like, man, what do we want our lives to really look like and be? Our parents have run their leg of the race, and we got the baton in our hand. And so we just really buckled down, and we really began to focus on becoming debt free. Mm-hmm. And we started to use the snowball method, and we were paying off the second to the last debt, paying the minimums on the second to the last debt, and paying every bit of extra on the first debt until we became debt free. And then after 7.5 years, we became debt free. And once we became debt free, we were lit. We were lit. We were just telling family, friends, just about our experiences, what we accomplished. Mm-hmm. But what we realized is they were suffering too. And it was like, man, how do we help them? So God planted this idea in my head of how to help people spend money and pay off debt at the same time. That's how the idea was birthed. In pertaining to the transition from corporate to entrepreneurship, I lost my dad to a massive stroke in 2014. And at that time, in corporate, had just accepted a role, my second mid-level manager role, got promoted. But I told my boss, I was like, I'm ready to go do something different. And I didn't know what different was at the time. This is really before the idea of SpenDebt, but just wanted to do something different. And so I left to go launch a home healthcare business to take care of families. Like I was able to take care of my dad for the 30 days after he had the massive stroke until he died. That's what I wanted to go do. Oh, that's when the idea of SpenDebt came, and it just kind of began to listen to God, and it just kind of it took precedence over the home health care. And by the top of 2016, we was focusing on SpenDebt full time.
But there's that little moment there's a gap there for me where being a caretaker. I mean, I was a caretaker for my grandmother for 21 years. It is a thankless job. It is a hard job, and until you experience, like you could see your friends doing it, you could see your parents do it. It is a hard job. And if you don't have the right advocate for that individual, everything and anything can go wrong. I think for me, it was Maria Shriver said, it doesn't matter if you're a Kennedy or not. It doesn't matter if you're the Pope. You need to have an advocate for you when you're in the hospital, because it's not that the nurses in some hospitals, it's not that they don't care, they're busy. And so they can go into a room, I'm going to give you your medicine. Oh, wait, code red. They run out and then they come back and they're like, wait, I didn't write it down. Did I give the medicine right? And so when there's these situations that are happening in a healthcare facility, it's because they're overworked, they're tired, there's not enough staffing. So when you said that, it made sense. I mean, I'm like, wow, it's needed. What was it that all of a sudden turned around for you? I mean, like, yes, your mother raised you where you were talking about finance, but what happened? Were you just sitting here having I'm just blanking off into space kind of a moment, and it came out? Like, what was it that made this company come to be?
The healthcare or the SpenDebt?
The SpenDebt.
It was just really just knowing that, after we became debt free, it was people around us that were still in debt, and they was still spending, they was shopping, they was going out to eat, they was traveling, but they were getting further into debt. And where we were debt free, and it was a different experience. So people were spending more time trying to pay for the things that they had. They were exchanging time for money, but they couldn't get enough money for the time. And so it's like, well, how do you solve that equation? You can get more jobs, and you can try to make more money, or you can just pay it off and figure out how to minimize those expenses. And so it's like, how do we help people do that? That's what we have experience, like firsthand experience doing that. And how do we develop a product, a tool that works in parallel with what they're already doing? And so all these thoughts came to, it was in that salad bowl, and we just mix it all together.
So what I will add to it is that Kiley loves helping people. And I always knew that long-term corporate America wouldn't be for him. Not that he wouldn't be successful, but because there would always be a ceiling on that, right? And his potential, and he had so much more to give and that he wanted to do for people. And so I wasn't surprised when he was like, thinking about leaving Frito-Lay. And it honestly got to a point where I was like, okay, can you leave? Are you gonna leave today?
Can I just, I got to interject here, because this is what she did for me. Top of 2015, I said, babe, this is gonna be a year of faith. We began to really just grow our faith, and like commit to church and just really get it in. March of that year, I was like, babe, I'm ready to quit my job. We just found out she was pregnant, Black woman, Black male. I'm telling my wife I want to quit my job. She tells me, quit. It kind of shocked me. I said, what'd you say? She said, quit. I was like, okay. It took me 2 months to build up enough confidence to quit my job. I left in May.
Because you didn't want to tell your boss, because you were thinking about what other people were going to say? Like, what was that?
I don't know what, I was shocked that she said, I was thinking she goes, no.
It's called marrying well, FYI. I'm just saying right now, it's called marrying well.
Wow, amen, sis, come on. I don't know what it was, but I had to build up enough confidence. I didn't know like really what I wanted to go do, how I was going to do. So I was thinking about, once I quit, what's going to happen? That's what I was really thinking about, the consequences of quitting. Sorry to interrupt, but.
And so then all I was going to add is that he always wanted to help people, didn't know what capacity. Of course, after my father-in-law passed, it made sense. Yeah, he wants to go into home health care. Okay, great. But I think I was sitting at the table one day and he was like, hey, babe, what do you think about this idea? And I don't know what was going on in his mind, because he has a lot of ideas, y'all. But so I don't know, what all the connections and what he was thinking, but he came to me and was like, what do you think about this idea? Because people are still spending money, like whether in debt or not, they're still spending money. So how do we help people help themselves? Like as they spend money, how do we help take a little bit out? Like, and they don't even notice it, to help them pay off or pay down their debt and their bills. It sounds like, it sounds legit. Yeah, it sounds cool. And so SpenDebt is the way, right, in which he is originally like just trying to help people. It came from him just trying to solve a problem, a real problem that not only just people in the world experience, but like our family, our friends, like grew up, you're always gonna owe somebody. Like, that's no big deal. My mom, I mean, she would get a car every 2 years or whatever, right? And like, you can afford the car note, so you're good. And so all of those things, anyway, he's a thinker, and he thinks nonstop. And so I really believe it was, how do I help my family and my friends with this issue? Like, we've overcome it. We shouldn't be the only ones celebrating. How do I bring other people along? And I think that's then where, SpenDebt came from.
So you start the company. Let's walk through who are the best customers and how does it work for an individual? Like, how does this entire process work? And what's a realistic timeline for someone to get out of debt?
So who are the best customers?
Who are the best customers? Like, best customers, and how to, once I I go, let's just say I'm your best customer, I come to you, what happens?
Great question. People who have a desire to improve their financial health, right? And what does that really mean? If I can unpack this a little bit, like, you got a bill and you trying to pay it off. You've been just paying the minimums and you ain't getting nowhere. It's gonna take you guys of time to get that paid off. You are a right customer for us. So if you out there and like you looking for a product, the name of our company is called SpenDebt, and we can be found at SpenDebt.com, or we can be found in the App Store, both iOS and the Google Play Store. But once you come to our platform, you can sign up and create a profile. The first step in the process is linking your bank account. So let's say you had a Bank of America checkers account, you will link it. The second step is we ask you, what is that bill or debt that you've been trying to pay off? We ask you to tell us, and you give us the company name, your account number, and the payment address. The third step is you define the micropayment. This is a small amount that will come out whenever you have a banking transaction or a debit card purchase. So let's call it $1 for today's example. After that, you begin spending. So let's say you went to Starbucks, you bought your favorite cup of coffee at $5. Automatically, that $1 is added to that transaction. $5 will go to Starbucks. $1 will go towards that debt that you wanted to pay off, right? And over the course of a month, we aggregate all of those transactions and we set a one-time payment on your behalf. It is a mindless way, an automated way to really enhance and improve your financial health. That is what SpenDebt does, and that is what it is doing for people today.
So simple, so simple, and yet people haven't done it. Because my mother was part of a Christmas club, like every bank, I think they still do it. The Christmas club, they take money out of your check. I go, you could put money in, and at the first week of December, you get this lump sum of money and you can pay your Christmas presents. Why are we not doing this all the time? Why are people not thinking about this all the time?
Because I think this is in my opinion.
Well, this is why you're here, because you are the expert in this. This is why I'm asking you the question.
Yeah. Once you acquire the thing or the asset, once you get it into your possession, you got it now, right? And it's like, yeah, I know I need to pay up, but I'll pay it. I'm not in a rush anymore because I have it. That's part of it. The other, I think the major part of it though is the financial education, right? And not really understanding the impact of those purchases or those decisions, right? Like, you only can wear one pair of shoes at a time. Do you need 20, 30, 40, 50 pair of shoes? Probably not. I'm not judging nobody.
Yeah.
Did I need a $40,000 car making $58,000? No, I didn't. But I made that decision. It was the best first decision I made. So all I'm saying is it's financial education at the core of it. But then there's also some other things, societal pressures, wanting to keep up with the Joneses. All these things influence us to make decisions that we don't have enough information, enough education to say no to.
during the pandemic, as everyone knows, you saw those Amazon trucks, the UPS truck, the FedEx truck. You saw lottery tickets, liquor stores, beauty, anything beauty, up, 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 up. They didn't lose money. People feel sad, depressed. I mean, the depression rate is really high, plus people are buying more. How do you get to the point where you have all these outside elements, and you just said it, keeping up with the Joneses, you have all these outside elements, but yet you see there is debt. There is a small portion of individuals that took a lot of their savings, or they got their stimulus checks and they paid down debt, or they invested it. How do we bring the two worlds together, where the individual that's buying doesn't have a understanding of how to really make their money grow, and the individual that's like, I'm just gonna figure it out by Googling it. I don't have we don't go to financial advisors, we're just gonna Google it. Google could give you 10,000 rationales of what to do. And then we need to find, and then there's you. So you're at the top of the triangle in my world. Top of the triangle, person that's doing it, person that's not doing it. How do we come together? Because the person in the middle is a person that's like, I just need help. I want to have a future. I want to retire. By the way, there's not going to be Social Security when I'm old. So what do I do? Because I was raised always knowing, don't depend on Social Security check. It will never exist for you. So how, with all this element of you, what you're doing, and not just you, but there's a lot of organizations that are doing the same thing. Like, we're trying to educate individuals. And then there are people that are not educated. And there are people that are like, I'm just going to try to figure it out on my own. It's hard, but I'm going to figure it out. So how do we bring everyone together? In your opinion?
No. So my opinion. So one, we have to do this, right? We have to share what our experience and our story, because we know it's other people like us that's out there. And that took enough courage. That took a lot of courage for me, I should say, personally, to begin to do that because of shame, right?
Well,
shame.
no, let's just stop. A question. It took a lot of time for you, but I feel like even for when you were deciding for leaving your job, you're a thinker. I mean, TyLisha, just you're a thinker, and you're very, very risk. It seems like you're risk avert. Am I wrong or right on that?
Is she wrong?
She's asking you.
No, I'm the risky one between.
You are the risky. Okay, so people hear your story, and it's a great story, but I don't see any shame in that. I see that's like it's extremely applicable, where people are seeing, like, I go, wow, I want to get out of that situation of having debt. School loan debt is ugly on a good day. I mean, and all the people that are putting it off, because I mean, every single time Washington, D.C. says, like, oh, we're putting it off, people are like, great, we're putting it off, yay, but it's still there. So what you guys did is amazing. What shame would be associated with that?
It's amazing that we did it, but to get to doing it is where the shame was, and where the challenge is for most people. Even to just talk to your spouse about your own finances, because we were individuals before we got married. Kiley had his debt, I had my debt. I had a Bank of America credit card, and I think I had a $20,000 limit, and it was maxed out. And it started probably at $5,000, and I was getting close to my max. Let me increase it, right? And Kiley didn't know that until we were like, okay, we're saving this money, but we still have all this debt. What are we missing? And that exercise, like, yeah, it wasn't just, oh, here's all my debt. Hey, it's like, I gotta show him this bill, this, like, all those internal feelings may not be outwardly expressed, but to get to that point of where you can have an open conversation about it, even amongst just us, took a lot. That's where the challenge comes from. Like, we help people today from a financial coaching perspective. It's a lot to get to the point where you say you need help. It's a lot to get to the point where you open up all these bills and face it. Like, it takes a lot for people to get to that point. Yeah, once you get to the point, I need help. Okay, I'm an open book. It's still hard, right? It can be embarrassing. It can be a mix of emotions, right? But you've gotten to that point. So now you're like, okay, I'm wide open. Like, just help me, please. But to to step up to that plate, it
Yep.
takes a lot. It takes a whole lot.
That is to me, I think that is the greatest challenge in our community.
Mhm.
Just because I can't provide help if I don't know you need it, or all these organizations that have all this fantastic,
Resources.
get resources to provide to, if you don't say you need help, you're not going to get it. And so that's the shame in it all. And I had that shame. I know what it feels like, but once you get on the other side of it, it's a bit easier to talk about it.
And I think starting early with the conversation, like, yeah, financial education is great. Here, you're 30 years old, become financially educated.
Yep.
How do we make talking about finances more of a regular discussion in the homes early on? My mom,
yeah.
I asked questions. I mean, I asked for things and she made it happen. I didn't ask how she got it until I got older. I realized she had all of these credit cards, but hey, she was paying the minimums. She was keeping up with the payments, right? We didn't talk about it. We didn't talk about it at all. How do you start talking about it at home earlier in families, in our community specifically, right?
Well,
but
it's so funny. It's so funny because most times, like, either they make it happen, but you don't know how, or you get the no and you're like, well, you guys are being mean. I go, but they're not telling you, like, I go, we're not being mean. We just can't afford it. But I'd rather just say no to you and let, I mean, I'm the parent, I'm telling you, no, you're not going to get that. And you're like, oh, that doesn't help me as an adult.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Man, that is what TyLisha just shared, is so many layers to that, because we've been conditioned as a culture, as a people, to be consumers. We've been bred that way.
Since we were little, we're watching TV shows with, like, I go, buy this cereal and there's like a toy inside, but that cereal is more expensive than an average cereal. Yes, since we were little.
It just been conditioned, and I think, and then our culture has been ashamed to tell our neighbors what we go through financially. We talk about everything else. We talk about the baby daddies, the baby mama drama, the kids at school, the church members. We ain't touching them finances. We ain't gonna touch them finances. Those are curse words. But I think once we begin to accept the cursing as normal language in terms of, like, discussing finances, then we can bridge that triangle. We can really activate, all points and all sides of it.
And it's not once you've made it out. It's like, talk about it as you're going through it. Share your journey. With our daughter, we went to a bank to open up a bank account. And she was like, okay, so how much are you going to ask the bank for? How much are you going to, because I want this much. And it's like, it doesn't work like that. But until you expose them, we always say exposure expands expectations.
Yeah.
Oh
So
my God, that was so cute. Oh, I'm so sorry. What?
You expose them, right? And you explain, but if they never went to a bank, she would know, right? No one ever told us growing up that when the credit card companies ask you to pay an amount right on your monthly statement, that's just the minimum monthly payment. If you can pay more, pay more. No one, as simple as that concept may seem, and to me, even saying it out loud is like, duh. No, there was no duh. No one ever, they said, can you afford this amount to pay this? Yep, I can pay that, fit that in my budget. That's a line item. And I'm good. But no one ever told me by just paying that amount, that minimum amount, you're going to be in debt for much longer, right? And what is interest? Like, we didn't go through all of this stuff. So education, talking about it, like, do all of that early to try to bridge the gap.
As I said at the beginning, there's no university of sales and there's no university of understanding my finances until I'm in trouble. And even when I'm in trouble, I still don't understand it. And so what should we be doing? Like, in your opinion, what should we be doing in the future for our young people, but also the individuals between, I feel like the big debt comes between 25 and 45 is that big debt. You need the house, the car, the family starts to grow. And then you just start like this credit card. So what should we be doing for young people, or just overall, what should the industry be doing just to get people more financially aware of where they should be at a certain age versus these silly little financial advisors that come on TV And they're like, I go, well, this is what you should be doing. Well, I'm beyond that. Where were you before? So what should happen in the future? Because this new generation of kids are coming up and they're going to be in the same situation. And it's a ripple effect of this problem that happens over and over and over again. The school loan debt, you guys hear it over and over and over again. That number is just ridiculous. I mean, it's ridiculous. There are young people that like, I can't go to school. There are older people that can't go to school because I can't afford it. But if I don't go to school and get the education, I can't get the job. It's the hamster wheel. So what should the industry do overall? You guys are living, breathing, eating it right now. You are officially financial people. What should happen?
So much to say right here. So
Just start.
Yeah. So we should start early, right? So if we have the ability to teach our kids, we need to teach our kids, whether that's through junior achievement, whether that's you know, picking up books, going to your local bank, getting them exposed and having healthy conversations about money and letting them know, you know, look, we don't have it. And this is why we don't have it. Here's their income. Here's the expenses, and here's what's left over. And what's left over, we're paying tithes, we're saving. We're like, you gotta walk them through how money works in the home, right? I think that's step one. Step two is when I think about college debt or post-secondary education, it's like the world, the government, somebody, some entity got to figure out how to support individuals going through or taking these student loans. Yes, we should be responsible to pay back whatever we owe, but I think there should be some mechanism in place that prevents people from killing themselves when it comes to their finances and taking out these student loans. Whether that's an investment on behalf of some of those dollars that they take, some financial education that you know that has a ceiling when they get that career job, that they're able to have a life and to be responsible and make payments back. I think all of those steps would make it better for when you try to level up in life with family, with the house, with the car. I think those are the steps. And I think aside from that is we have to teach our kids, how to make money. It's not about just going to school, getting a degree, and then gonna make money. By that time, you 22 years past your prime, and when you can really make money, you can make money at one. Obviously, some parents, but I think about the little boy Ryan. I don't know if he plays with toys on YouTube. 2-3 years.
I heard about this little boy. He makes $1 million, is he not?
No. He made $20 million like 3 years ago. Now, if you walk down Target aisle, Walmart, he's all over. At 7 years old, he's making $20 million. You think he's worried about going to college? He's probably never going to go to college. For what? Because it's a means to an end. Education is important. I'm not discounting education, but I think the world of higher education is evolving, it's changing. I can get a 4-year degree experience in 6 months and go work at one of the largest companies in the world and have upward mobility based on my output. And oh, by the way, I don't have to wait 4 years, 5 years, or pay $200,000 before I'm ready to make a pivot and change my career. I can go just take another 6-month course and go get another what are those things called? Certification and go work for another big corp. So it's evolving. And so it's like that. That's all going to come to a head. And so I don't know who's going to make that decision, but I think these are all steps where we can help breathe life into our young folks that's going to go through these trials and tribulation and really get them to think about how can I get the biggest bang for my buck that's going to allow me to really have a good financial, healthy life.
And if I could just add one more thing, easier said than done, but ignorance can no longer be an excuse based on the access to information that we have in our hand.
Yep.
Right. So I get it. It's not necessarily easy and we want the golden tickets, but I would just add that as well.
I 100% agree on that. I mean, yes, we are not living in the Willy Wonka world where when you open up chocolate and, oh, look, I won. It is I tell people all the time where, actually, I'll give you an example of my intern. Well, former intern, now she is like one of my contractors. One of my former interns, contractor, she chose to go to a smaller school because she's like, I'm not putting myself in debt. And when I tell you she has a 17 credit caseload and she has 2 jobs, and because both of her parents are entrepreneurs, and I'm like, when do you have time to sleep? She goes, oh no, I make time to sleep. I go, but I know that I'm going to have 0 debt when I get out of school. And I'm watching my classmates and I'm watching my friends, and I'm like, they're all like focusing on the best schools, the best parties, the best everything. And her boyfriend's like, I'm not going to college at all because I'm going to start my own business. And so the mentality of we can get to our goals the same exact way as everyone else. And the internships that she chose internships with the best people, the greatest minds. So that way she can literally get all that knowledge faster. She's absorbing that. So it's not just like going to the school, getting a certificate. Surround yourself with the greatest minds that are willing to share that knowledge with you and open doors for you faster. And I think that's one of the things that people are not understanding, where you can learn in so many different ways. But that whole entire mentality of I can't, I won't, just doesn't work anymore. I mean, again, the world is your competition. March 2020, you hear the buzz of something weird. Well, some weird thing that was happening March 2020. The world shuts down. The world. What did that do for you as a family? What did that do for your business that you are creating? People are scared. People are holding on to their money. They don't know what's going on. How was that time for you from that point, March 2020, when the buzz started, to the full 2 years plus that's happening with different variants, open, close, open, close? What did that do for you guys?
So of course, in the beginning, just like everybody else, we were taking it literally day by day. For our daughter, it was time for spring break. Okay, we'll extend spring break for 2 weeks. Okay, now, and then it just kept extending. And then from a work perspective, okay, work from home unless you have to be in because of whatever, right? Which meant work from home 100% of the time. Mm-hmm. And so as the days went on, as we began to learn more, I would honestly say we found the opportunity in it all. And so I'll start from our daughter. So at the time we just had one. And we took advantage of that opportunity to homeschool her. So she's a December baby, born in December. And long story short, we homeschooled her for kindergarten so that she would be able to hopefully test into first grade when everything opened back up, right? So we capitalized on that and homeschooled her, bought all the curriculums and stuff for homeschooling. It wasn't easy, but we did that. We bought her a bike in the beginning because we knew we'd be in the house and we got to keep you in some kind of relatively decent shape, right? Because you're not running around with kids and stuff. So we did that. From a business perspective, it was companies are now yelling more than ever and in search of some creative solutions to collect something from their customers, where before there were some companies who were like, if you don't have the full payment, we don't want it. But then it was like, well, if we can get anything, and so, we have a way to help you collect, right? Help your customers collect something, or help us collect something from your customers on behalf of you. And so to us, we found the opportunity in that. And that's when we expanded to the business side, right? How do we serve as a payment solution for those businesses? Because people are still spending those Amazon trucks. People were getting part-time jobs for Amazon because people were still spending money. So we found the opportunity in that to expand sooner, because it was always on our roadmap, but to bring that to the forefront sooner during that time.
And then the love was real.
Because we had another baby.
Pandemic baby, I love it.
Yes, so now we have 2 kids. So yes, so we found the opportunity opportunity of it all. I mean, even from our extended family, my sister was at home by herself. My cousins, were spread out. And so we had Zoom parties, and we honestly, thank you, Jesus,
kindergarten graduation
on Zoom. Yes. Like, we found the opportunity in it all. Not saying that some days we weren't ready to bust out. We each had our own days, right? Like, oh my gosh, like, when is this gonna be over? Like, okay, I don't want to homeschool you today. Go watch TV, right? It was not all sunshine and roses, but all in all, and even to this day, we look back and say that we're blessed. Yes, we were impacted from some family members, but I mean, glory to God, like, we found the opportunity in it all.
What did you learn, or what did you add? I should say, what did you add to your life that you would have never done if it wasn't for the pandemic? Not only for your life, but also for the business. Other than a baby.
So I wanted to say that, but I think the homeschooling part. Mm-hmm. Like the intentionality of it.
I heard so many people, I mean, is it hard? Because I've heard so many people who are like, yeah, we homeschooled. I'm like, well, is it that easy? I mean, I used to be a 2nd and 6th grade teacher. I remember all the stuff in my classroom. So like, where do you even start when you're like, let's just homeschool? Where does it start?
Fortunately, we had some folks in our network who worked at the HISD, Houston Independent School District administration building. And so we had a direct line to them, and we were just asking, questions about school and curriculums. And so they was just giving us the knowledge. And so we was like, okay, we're gonna go buy that curriculum and we're gonna teach it to our daughter. And so that's what we did. And it really worked out. It got her to graduate from kindergarten. We did a full-blown homeschool graduate.
With the music,
cap and gown. I did the,
in the house,
the speech, everything. Like, we'll send it to you offline so you can look at it. And so I think that's it. Homeschool, being intentional about that. And then I think the pandemic really helped us just like strategize the business and be more aggressive in terms of like what we wanted to do, and just like, now let's go ahead and do this now, right? And we saw, like, unfortunately, the pandemic closed a lot of doors. And so we were trying to TyLisha's point, take advantage of the opportunity. And so that's what happened. And then the George Floyd really helped uncover some things too, and really helped bring in some partnerships for us. So these were some of the things I think the pandemic really just kind of put an exclamation point on.
I didn't touch base on, because you're in Texas, but I didn't touch base on the George Floyd, but we have to. It's definitely, it's your home. And so when that happened, I remember having a conversation with my cousin that he's in cryptocurrency. So he has a podcast and a business on cryptocurrency. And we were just, especially because I'm a marketing strategist, I was like, how long before these companies go back to doing what they were doing? So all these companies came in and they're like, we want to support all Black companies. We want to support all women. And I'm like, and as a market, I mean, I worked in politics, I worked in the media, I'm Haitian, and and I'm a marketing strategist. And so cynical by nature. So I'm just like waiting. I go, tick, 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 waiting, just waiting. So companies came to you. Did you embrace it? Like, I mean, I'm always wondering in regards of like, does one embrace it? Someone died and I'm reaping the benefits from this, or am I educating individuals, or I don't know how to dance around the fact that not just with you, with anybody. Like, I go, how does one perceive how corporate is finding their way inside, so that way they can say like either check mark or look at me, I'm taking care of business, I'm doing good. So how do you play a part in working with corporate organizations or even VCs? I mean, at the beginning of this conversation, we were talking about VCs and even being seen in the world of VCs. I mean, and mind you, there's an infinite, not an infinite, but there's a certain amount of VCs that are out there. And living in Massachusetts, minorities are like, we don't get VC money. End of story. but they go to Georgia, they can go to California, and they can get the same VCs that said no in Massachusetts to say yes in Georgia, to say yes in California, to say yes in St. Louis. So how did it help your company with VCs, with George Floyd, like all of that come together? How did that play into your successes? Or has it?
So from the VC perspective, it hasn't yet. And real quick stat on that, and I want to make it because I think people need to understand, 11,300 companies were invested in last year. $288 billion were invested in or was given out. Of those, 222 were people of color or Black. That's 1.3% if you wanted to know the percent. So that's those investment dollars. That's just the stat. I just want to make sure that we set the record straight. So it hadn't worked out for us yet. We're still working on it. But when it comes to corporations and them putting their dollars in the Black community, when we've seen the partnerships come on, pretty very supportive in a very supportive way. And we are, in the groove on like launching with these partnerships. And the mindset, we can spend the rest of our life trying to understand the mindset of these corporations. Why this? Why that? Why they doing this? Why they're not like that? That's a whole nother monster. Or we can spend the energy in trying to figure out, how to be good stewards or beneficiaries of some of the good work that they want to do, and making that a way for us to, at the end of the day, when we're said and gone, allow us to establish that generational blessing or legacy that we want to leave our family. That's where we want to spend our energy and time and effort. You can argue both sides, but at the end of the day, I think it's like life insurance. We don't think about how that person lived. When you get that check, you don't think about how that person, like, oh man, they left me $1 million, they left me 50,000, whatever the number is. It's like you take the life insurance check and you do what you need to do with it. That's the same thought process in my mind.
And I would just add that now that the opportunities are coming where we are having discussions with larger corporations, I feel like it's our moral obligation to ensure that we figure out a way to put a wedge in the door to keep it open so that more people like us continue to have those opportunities. And so that wedge will come in the form of conversation, right? Education, whatever, introductions. But I feel like when people get those opportunities, especially people like us where they don't come all the time, that we need to ensure that the door stays open. And companies are asking, they're asking now, what can we do? What are your challenges? Like, this isn't the time to be shy, right? Be respectful, but this isn't the time to be shy and not speak up. This is your opportunity. You may not get another opportunity, right? And so take full advantage of that opportunity to ensure that, again, you keep the door open for others to come after you. I mean, one of the companies that we got introduced to, it was because of 2 other companies that came before us, and they had discussions, right, with these companies. And it's like, we've never talked to that other, small business, but they made sure that they kept the door open to allow for more companies that look more founders, that look like them to be able to have those opportunities.
It was our cousins.
Right.
It was our cousins.
Right.
And this is, Black people stick together. And it's a beautiful thing. And we appreciate it. And we are doing our best not to squander the opportunity, and we're doing our best to be good stewards of the opportunity.
I think that you just said that extremely well, where there are so many companies that are unaware. Or they have individuals that have been in the business for such a long time that I've only done it this way because I've only done it this way. And it only takes one person in the company to open the eyes of someone, all the other people in the company, and to invite people to the table. And I think that's one of the things that I've been in situations where people have asked me, they're like, Jodi, we can't get minorities to come and apply to our company. I'm like, well, have you had your HR person walk out the door and take a walk a mile in every single direction? Because if you do that, but you put the fear in your HR team that if they don't hire the right person, they'll get fired. So if it starts at the top, or someone that's at the bottom that's not afraid to talk to the top and get the right people inside to have that conversation, to get more people that think differently, look differently, will challenge you in a professional way, but will challenge you to do better. Because as we all know and we've heard, they go, literally, the more diversity you have, the faster your company will grow and the more money you will make. It's a no-brainer. The no-brainer.
That's right.
Can I give another stat? I just like what you said that.
Well, as long as you throw in a woman stat too, because you're sitting there saying how much of the minorities make, women make less than the number you said. Just like, so you got to throw that number too.
Fair enough.
Less than 0.06%.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I'm point well taken. So in the VC world, there's a stat that show that later stage companies that are more diverse, when they exit at a 35% more, a 35% higher return than an all white male team.
Wait, can you repeat that? Wait, can you repeat that one more time?
In VC or in the startup world,
yeah,
a later stage company, so call it Series B and beyond,
yep. Mm-hmm.
When they exit at 35% of return, more than the predominantly white or all white male teams.
So diverse teams exit at 35% higher than predominantly white. So
if we know this, if we know there's a higher return for diverse teams, right, including women, why wouldn't we invest more early in the pipeline?
Yeah,
that is.
It's the answer that we will. It's what was it? Was that a commercial with the owl? How many licks does it take to get to the center?
1, 2,
crunch.
3.
Yeah. It literally is. How many licks do we need to take before we get to the point where you're going to sit there and open the doors and give investments and give sponsorships and things like that? So yes, it's frustrating, but I cannot wait to find out what that number is. I look forward to that time, that moment of time.
And the only thing else I'll add to that is that, right, you hear, well, we'll create our own tables. And I think it is important to do that. But I also think it is important to figure out how to get into the current tables that exist, right? Just looking at, I'm an engineer, numbers, where's the money? Where's the majority of the money, right? Yep. Like, let's be smart about this. It's a blend, it's a combination. And so again, going back to my point of when given the opportunities to be in the rooms, be at the tables with these large corporations, it's our moral obligation to ensure that we keep the door open.
Yeah, 100%. All right, I have 2 more questions. I'm sucking so much of your time, but you guys, there's 2 of you, so it's okay. There's 2 of you. But this is like a second to last question. What advice would you give to someone? So we're watching, I mean, look, we're still in it where close to 20 million people have walked away from good paying jobs. People just assumed it was Dunkin' Donuts and Starbucks. I'm like, no, it's like close to 20 million people every month. We're looking at the rates, and even for the amounts of jobs that are coming back in, there are a lot of people still walking away from jobs, looking to do their own thing. The pandemic has opened their eyes to why am I taking all of my resources and literally handing it over to somebody else that's not respecting me, or I'm not advancing in the company. What advice would you give to anyone that's listening to you right now in regards to starting your own thing and the highs and lows of having your own business?
All right. Since I've experienced this, first thing I would say is you can blossom where you've been planted. And so whether that's in that corporate job, you can blossom there. I get wanting to walk away because I've done it. But what I mean by blossom where you are, take advantage of the opportunity. Meet everybody you can in that organization. Network. Go find your co-founder. Build while you're there. Make an exit plan and have a plan. But once you leave that corporate job to go pursue that idea, that business, whatever it is, don't do it alone. Don't try to do it alone. Sometimes it's glorified to go be an entrepreneur, be your own boss. That's overrated. Trust me. If it wasn't for this lovely woman, wife, life partner of mine, I'm not sure that I would have made it this far. It is incredibly hard. And so do it with a team. Do it with a board of advisors. Do it with accountability partners. Do not do it alone. And try to get your audience before you get your product. Build your audience first. Have a community that you can test things out with, that you can get to buy your first minimal viable product, your MVP. Mm-hmm. Have your audience first. There's no such thing as you building the network. That doesn't happen. And you can't just pivot easily if you spend all your resources on this particular product or service. Audience, plan, team, and your network. Those are the handful of things that I would leave and advise people to do before the great migration. Unfortunately, in the news of the last 2 weeks, there's been the great regret. People like, man, I should never have left that high-paying job. So it's a balance, and you got to have that support.
And I would also say you need to have some way to relieve stress, because it's going to be stressful. So like for us, it's working out. Like figure out if it's painting. If you got to balance, because people think, oh, I'm going to put in 20 hours every day and you're going to burn yourself out quick. And this is a marathon. Like you don't know when you're going to get that investment. You don't know when you're going to win a pitch competition or even get accepted in to pitch, to get money, to build this little small part of your application. Like you don't know typically when all those things are going to come. You don't know when you're going to get your first round of customers. You don't know when it's going to take off and then the customers will just start, rolling in. And so having a way to relieve that stress, because you're going to need a balance. That's just the reality of it. Like you're going to need a balance. But then also going back to Kiley's point about knowing your audience, if you don't have customers, you don't have a business. And so to the point in which you say, my customer is Kiley Summers. He is 38. His birthday's in December. He loves long walks in a park. He loves to go skating, bowling. He likes to invest. He's a little risky when it comes to investing. He's a family man, has two, like.
Come on, you got to run out my resume, girl. Come on.
Like we're joking, but seriously, you need to know who your customer is. And if you don't, go test it. Test it now. Test it early and reiterate until you figure out who your customer is.
I am always so blown away when I have anyone come to me, because I'm that judge where I have the pitches all the time. And then I go, who's your best customer? They're like, everyone. I'm like, we're done here. We're done here. Because how do you not know who your best customer is? Because someone had the pain point, and someone, whether it's you or a family member, someone had a pain point that you wanted to solve. What happened to them? Why did they just disappear? And so I'm so happy you just said that, because it hurts my heart when someone does not know exactly, not just like a overall, but exactly who the person is. And by the way, the person is, what kind of mood are they in when you approach them? Because every human is going through something. And so when you're excited, you have your pitch, you know who your target your target audience is. I go, you know them, you can visualize them. But guess what? They may be having a bad day and they don't want to talk to you. They just don't want to talk to you today, but come back tomorrow. Know who your people are and know where they are right now. Because right now during the pandemic, everyone's like, I know who my customer is. And then all of a sudden people weren't going to stores anymore. And they're like, because people are fickle. You don't know what's going to happen. They're going to change their mind. I was like, I'm a diehard small business. I only go to my small businesses. Well, I can't leave my house. I'm going to go on Amazon. People change their minds every single day, depending on what's going on in their lives right now. So, oh my God, know your people. Thank God you just said that out loud. Yes. All right. So now, all right. One, I love you guys. I love all of you. I mean, literally, this is where I don't do any homework on you guys on purpose, because you guys are going to say things that get me so happy. And the podcast has been the best therapy for me over the past 2 years, because I'm meeting people I would have never, ever, ever met all over the world. So bless your heart for saying yes, because my intern found you and she's like, I got a small business. I'm like, great. They're like, do you want to know anything about them? I'm like, nope. I'll find out when I talk to them. We'll talk. And this is why I give you the time. I give you the time for people to understand who you are, because pitching is, how many times do you pitch? You know your pitch inside and out. You just pitch, but no one knows you. They just know your pitch. I want people to know who you are. The good, the bad, the ugly, the funny, the enjoyable. Look at the love.
The COVID baby.
All right, so here's my last question to you. I ask this of everyone, no matter how many times I have you on. And there are times that I might just like call you and say, hey, do you guys have time? Because things are happening in the news all the time. Things are happening in our world all the time. And as a former media person, I used to have my go-to list, but they were all academics, or some of them were like, they were retired. You guys are doing this right now. So if there's things that are happening, I might just pluck you guys and just say like, hey, let's talk about what's going on right here, because it gives you another way of just getting your voices out, showing people that you're an expert. Why would I go elsewhere? This is a platform that I've created, and this is a platform that I hope it will not go away. But again, at the 2+ year mark, I want more people to hear how you guys are experts, and that's why you own what you own. So with all that being said, last question, I'm going to need 4 answers here. No cheating, no double dipping. If you had a personal ask and a professional ask of anyone that's listening to you right now, what would be your personal ask and what would be your professional ask?
Go ahead, Kiley.
Ladies first. I can go. So from a professional ask, we are always looking for ways to connect with executives in the C-level suite, or decision makers or influencers inside large organizations or small and medium enterprises, as we are using our platform as a new way to recover payments from end customers. So if that's you, or if you are cousin or kin or in the network of these individuals, I would love to connect with you to see how we can exchange introductions for that ask. But on a personal side is share our story, because we are talking about finances, and yes, that is what we do in a professional setting and as a business. But I think at the core of what we do is we just want to help people. Our mission is to help save 1 million people from financial fatalities. That's our mission. We know what becoming financially free has done for us. It allows us to de-stress on all the rigmarole in that rat race. We've been able to become mentally healthy, and it's a different mindset. And so we want to be able to spread that love to others. So share our story and connect with us. Those will be my 3 asks. Sorry.
Okay. I just want to sit there and say you double dipped, but you kind of did it in a way that I might let you go with that one, but you double dipped.
I can keep going. So don't.
I'm just telling you right now that I saw how you double dipped, and then I'm gonna let him go with that one. But all right, okay.
See, my wife's gonna pick it up for me though.
So clarifying question: personal ask Like,
Cannot talk about the business at all.
You didn't say that.
lies.
I'm just kidding. I didn't hear that.
Cannot talk about the business at all, but like what I want them to do for me or for themselves.
Yes. As small business owners, we always ask for our business, but we never ask for ourselves. I'm giving you the opportunity to ask for yourself as well.
Can I come back? So from a professional ask, I can't double dip. I think that as small business owners, we don't know what we don't know. And through this journey, obviously we are learning as we go. But my ask would be if there's different requests that you have and different forms of information you need at different parts in your journey. And where we are, I think it would be great if we could just bounce ideas off of like small businesses that have gone there, that are there and like at the next level, and like we're not series A, we're not series B, and like just get some pouring into and some knowledge from those who have gone through it, and have that door open, that wedge right in the door, and could just pour into us from that perspective. I think that would be my professional ask.
Okay.
From a personal perspective, can't mention the business. My personal ask. Can I ask it of people?
Yes.
Okay. So my personal ask would be, and I think this is for myself too, but like
It's personal.
I know, listen, don't settle and continue to learn. And as like maybe cliche that may be, as I mentioned earlier, ignorance can no longer be an excuse. And I really feel like we have access to so much information, whether you're a visual learner, whatever type of learning style you have. There's the podcast, there's audiobooks, there's YouTube, there's all like plethora of information in different learning ways, right? That the information is out there. And I think there maybe was an old saying, like, if it was in a book, it would have bit you or whatever, right? Because people don't think like you're going to open up a book. Like, I'm going to hide my money in a book because you're not going to look in a book. Like, let's kill all of that. And like the information is out there. If you don't know something, at least put in the effort to try to go figure it out on your own or find somebody who's done it, which goes back to my professional ask, right? Oftentimes, even in entrepreneurship, you feel like you got to figure it out by yourself in your own little bubble. There's many people who have done it before you. Pick up a book that they've written to get the knowledge. Listen to a podcast to get the knowledge, right? Google it to get the information, but continue to learn. Figure it out. That's all I'm saying. Figure it out. Does that work?
Is that an answer?
I don't know.
No, that's perfect. I liked it. I bravo. Yes.
Thank you. I didn't
Right.
know.
And mind you, while you were talking, I was thinking about one thing that I have to bring up. What do your siblings think of you guys now? Like, I mean, they've watched you through this entire journey of little punks. Wow, like I'm running away from you. Oh my God, I'm fine with you. I'm eating, like I'm cooking, like all this, and engineers, and now here. How has the funnel got to where? What do they think of you now?
I would say proud. My sister brags about us, our business, our family, her nieces. I mean, all day, every day. If you know my sister, you know that she has a sister and her brother and her two nieces. Okay, like people at her job. How's Iris? How's Elle? Like before they even ask how she's doing. So proud is one word that I would use.
I think the same thing, but I don't want to double dip. But but I also think they know I'm not going to stop, and I'm setting the bar. And so they're supportive, but I know that I know that they know that, you know, I'm not going to stop, but I also know that they want better for themselves. And I'm by no mistakes are we perfect and we don't make mistakes. We definitely do, but they see where we're going, and they want to do it too. They want to be the best version of themselves. I mean, like, yeah, they want to be the best version of themselves. And in some regards, even from a physical health perspective, we lost my dad to a massive stroke. My older brother and I had the same dad, and we lost him to a massive stroke. So I've done like 4 bodybuilding competitions. I rode my bike from Houston to Austin in the MS 150. Like, and so like they know that I want more for myself, but it's ultimately just for us. It's like paving that way, and I want them to follow. And so they're trying to do that, and they want to do that. It's just a good, like a brotherly love, a brotherly sport, if I can say it that way. Like I watched my brother as a youngin, whatever he did, I wanted to do. And so it's almost like that. It's like, oh, he's taking a path that I didn't take. Let me take that path with him because I know he did it, I can do it, type of thing.
I adore you two. You guys are good people. Like good, like beautiful smiles, just a beautiful story. Like, I mean, literally, I have to Google and try to figure out exactly how you guys were found to me, because honestly, like, what a blessing. I mean, what an awesome blessing. You guys are doing such a great thing. And it just seems so simplistic and so easy, and yet nobody is even thinking about it. It's the last thing that they think about. So bravo, round of applause.
Thank you.
I mean, again, thank you. Literally, this is not the last conversation. I mean, it may be 6 months from now, it could be a year from now, you don't even know, but this is definitely not the last conversation. So thank you very much for giving me so much of your time, because I definitely took a lot of your time. A lot of it.
All good. It's all good.
Thank you for the
Thank you for the
opportunity.
opportunity. Yes.
Oh my God, absolutely. And I will literally have it's the end of the week. So have a wonderful end of the week, and I will see you soon.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.